If you knew me before, you wouldn't even look my way. If I had the nerve to speak, you wouldn't hear what I say. Time has come and gone so fast, we're not who we used to be.
And welcome back to Sullivan's Unheard Voices. I'm here with Joseph. Joseph, thank you very much for being with me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
So I took the liberty of listening to a few of your songs before you got here.
Cool.
Oh my God, man. Like, just the arrangement piece and, like, how you sort of, like, because you kind of go on a journey with your songs. So it's like, I like how the mood matches the lyrics, which matches the musicality. Yeah. How did you sort of develop that expertise?
That's a great question. I mean, it's a culmination of a lot of stuff over decades and decades of doing it. I think the honest truth is that I've always gone with the search for authenticity.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to play a genre that's already made. I'm not trying to cop a style or a lick that's already been done. I'm just trying to be my authentic self. And I think everyone's trying to do that, and if I'm being sincere, but I think we all come across it a little differently. And I just found my niche of how to be authentic as much as possible. But yeah, I have a lot of stuff that's influenced me that's created that. But the real search is just, how can I be Joseph Konty? Like, what's the easiest way to do that and the best way to do that?
And at what point in your life did you pick music up?
I started early. My daddy sang at the church, was the music director for a while, and so I sang in choirs when I was really young, and that kind of got the itch. And then when I was about 13, 15, I told my parents, I was like, I want to be a musician when I grow up. That's all I want to do. Like, I just want to be a musician. I just want to create art. I want to use that to help people feel loved and healed and whole again. And that was my whole mission. So, it started really at age 6 and then really took off at age 15. And then when I moved over to the Portland area in 2002, that's when I went professional.
So when you remember the first instrument you picked up?
Yeah, guitar. Yeah, I was with my older brother, and we were at his buddy's house, and they were playing video games, and I was bored, and there was a guitar sitting in the corner, and it had 4 strings on it, so it might as well have been a bass. But I asked him, I was like, can I pick that up and just mess around with it? And he's like, you know how to play? And I was like, I don't. And he's like, that's fine, whatever. And I just sat there and like strummed my fingers and just made noise. And from that moment on, I haven't been able to put a guitar down.
That's so awesome. And do you remember what guitar it was?
It's just a busted up acoustic guitar.
I love that.
Yeah, it wasn't anything. It wasn't some Les Paul or some ritzy guitar or something fresh off the showroom floor. No, it was just an old busted acoustic, and it clearly was beat to hell, and it was fun to play. I had a good time, and then I asked him if I could take it home with me, and he said yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know how many musicians it surprises me, but it shouldn't surprise me, the number of musicians who tell me that they got their first guitar as a hand-me-down from another musician.
Yeah.
And it's usually from a stranger.
Yeah.
That is so amazing if
Yeah.
you think about it. Because, what other industry do you have senior people and, just, here you go, here's an instrument.
Right.
That's I think outside of music, it's not as commonplace, which it should be.
It should be.
But, it's one of the things that I admire most about music and musicians in general. Especially the ones that are just supportive of other musicians.
Right.
Because it means so much.
Right.
So as you're getting 6 and you sort of pick up this guitar, at what point did you start realizing, I'm pretty good at this?
When my brother would bring his friends over, and his friends would hang out with me and listen to me play, and then I thought to myself, damn, I could probably do this in front of a crowd, and people might like it, and kind of went from there. But it all started in my bedroom. And his buddies would hear me practicing, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, you're pretty good. Do this, do that." And I would imitate what they're telling me to do, and it just kind of birthed from there. And that's what really the bug started. It was like, I could do this in front of people. Like, that'd be great.
And then at what point did the muse start visiting you? So like, I'm a firm believer that the muse is kind of like a living, breathing thing.
Sure.
And I always love to talk to musicians about the first time they thought about writing their own music. Because, it starts, you're copying, you're starting, like, all that. But then at some point, you're like, the muse visits you and you have a song idea. Do you remember sort of that time where you sort of switched towards, like, I want to write stuff down, I want to make my own music?
That started from the beginning.
Interesting.
I didn't learn cover songs until I played a wedding at age 20 or 21. When I started singing in church, obviously I was singing religious music, right? Spiritual music. So I was singing someone else's songs. But around like in grade school is when I would come up with little melodies on my own or little beat patterns on the desk. And it just didn't stop. And when I picked up that guitar at that buddy's house, I was writing my own song in my head. I'd never sat down going, oh, I want to learn this song by this artist. I literally from the beginning was like, I have this in my head. This is my story. This is my sound. I want to share it.
That is phenomenal. Like, just the idea that the music sort of flows through you in that regard. It's such a
Yeah. I think, honestly, the muse for me was the love of creation. Just being able to create and to say something about yourself to the world in a form. And that was my muse, was creation itself.
So what do you do now with the muse visits you? Do you write things down? Do you have like a recorder? Like, how do you capture that? Because I know, like, if you don't capture it sometimes, it just goes away.
Goes away, yeah. I have a lot of different forms. My phone's the biggest because it's right there, captures it right there. But I always have my recording gear set up at home in case I get inspired. I will wake up in the middle of the night with a lyric idea, and I'll write it down on my phone, and then I'll hum the melody so I don't have to write it out because I'm half asleep. So just anything I can do to get the idea down. But there are some times where I know that the thought is just a thought, and I kind of want it to pass along because I know it's going to tag on to something else later on. I just don't know when, but sometimes I'm just like, that's a good thought, that's a good idea, but nah, I got better. I'll just let that one go.
And then it'll come back like 6 months later, and you're like, oh, now I got the whole piece.
Exactly. That's how I feel. Like, I feel like the universe will find its way back to you.
That is so awesome. And so, like, take me through the process of recording your first album.
That was fun. We did that with my buddies and I. We had our rock band, and we did it at a church, and it was on tape, and so you had one. I mean, if you did a take and you messed up in the middle of the take, you had to start all over again because there was no punching in.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it was like one take, do it. So we had to really know our stuff and know what we were playing and have our parts down, which was really cool album to create. And then we got into studios where we were able to punch in and play with metronomes and do all kinds of other stuff and make it more of a cohesive sound. But honestly, my 2002 record was the first record I did as a solo artist without a band. I hired musicians, studio musicians.
Okay.
And I did that with Portland's renowned Tim Ellis, who, rest in peace, beautiful man. That record was amazing because that was the first record where everything was mine. Everything was mine. I didn't share songwriting duties with anyone. I didn't share ideas with anyone. It was strictly out of my head. And that process was my most favorite to start my recording career because that was my first chance to go, okay, can you do this?
Yeah.
Without anyone else being like along with you on this journey, can you do this on your own? And I always really looked up to Prince, because Prince was very much, can I do this? Am I able to do this without the help of others and still create this music that's in my head? And that was important to me. And it's not that I don't like working with others. I love working with others. I love people. I love working with other musicians. There's so many talented players in Portland. But at the end of the day, the music is coming out of my head. And I need to be the one that's going to be able to convey that and do that, you know?
And it's the easiest way to make sure that your message is on point.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, like, when you sort of created that first album, did you take the approach of creating a start to finish sort of like ensemble, or was it more like singles that were on top of each other?
No, I made an album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to highlight that, because I
Yeah.
knew that was the case, but I
Yeah.
wanted to validate that.
Yeah, I cannot stand the fact that we have just singles now, because it's not a concept. It's just an idea. I mean, a concept is an idea, but it's not a full concept. It's just a chunk of one. And to me, an album takes so much more effort, because you are creating an entire journey for the next 45 minutes to an hour or 30 minutes for a person to go on. And it's different than just sending them on a 3-minute, 20-second journey. That's your single, and then maybe you'll listen to more later or whatever. No, this is like song number 1 relates to song number 10. This is how, you know, like they all are cohesively working together as a unit. And I love doing albums. I love albums.
And that's my favorite kind of music as well. Like because my brain is autistic. One of the things that I am forced to do, I don't know how else to explain it other than, like, I have to listen to albums from start to finish.
Yeah.
And if I can't get to the end, I have to start at the beginning the next time I start. Because part of me feels sort of like compelled as an homage to the artist, because you've put so much work into telling this entire story that I want to make sure that I hear it all.
Right.
And then after I've listened to it 20 times, then I can decide if there's a song on there that I can skip. But
Yeah.
normally I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it feels. Yeah, it's really cool.
And so, like, as you transition into all this, and you're doing like the album and the recording, and then take us through like your journey on stage.
Wow. I don't know if anyone ever asked me that question. That's a very good question. You know, honestly, my journey on stage is pretty simple. I want what's in the studio or on the recording to be mimicked on stage. I don't want people to have a separate experience. I want them to have what they listen to each time. So if I can't do it on stage, I don't do it in the studio. And that doesn't mean that there aren't times on stage where I don't throw special surprises in or like get creative or expound on ideas. It just means that I want things to be, again, authentic and true to form. So my journey on stage is pretty simple. I want to take people on a journey, and I don't want to just entertain you. To me, entertainment is sugar water. I want to take you on a journey. I want you to be mindful while you're with me. I want you to be present. I want you to be present with yourself, mindful of yourself. I want you to really be in touch with the world and your feelings and your emotions and your creativity. And I want you to be a creator with me on this journey. You know, that's what I really want. I don't want to entertain you. I had a therapist one time. We sat down together, and the first thing she said is, I know you do music as a living. Don't entertain me. And it totally hit me, and I was like, wow. I was like, okay.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm letting that sink into my brain, because I think you're absolutely right. Like, so many times, like, I've seen both, right? I've seen artists that are doing everything in their power to entertain, but then lose the music. And so if you stay true to the music, the entertainment piece will come.
Yeah, it'll be what it is, you know. And I'm not saying the entertainment's like this bad thing, but it is what it is. It's soda. And soda's great to have every once in a while, but in large consumptions, it's not good for you. So, like, you got to have the substance with it. And if you have substance with entertainment, then you get this little taste of dessert, but you get this substance that lifts you up and brings you on a journey and really does something for your soul. It's something just more, to me, valuable in the end. And I really care about that, because look, if you're going to take time to listen to my music, I owe you the respect and the dignity and the thankfulness to give you something great in return. And entertainment is just not enough.
And one of the things I also love to ask musicians is about like the importance of community support.
Right.
Because I talk ad nauseum about why people need to support local artists,
right,
as opposed to, go see a Hoser show. At the same time, go see like all different levels of musicians in their career, because it's so important to sort of feed the community of music so that we can have future music, if that makes sense.
No, it makes complete sense.
So like, why is that community support important to you as a musician?
Because where you live, ultimately, and the truth of the matter is your scope. And there used to be a time when we didn't have the ability to record. We didn't have the ability to travel. And it was about the tribe. It was about the village. It was about the music of the people and where they were at. And that represented your surroundings and represented your ethos and your morals and like your compass of a community. And if we're not investing in our community artists, we're really not investing in our village. We're not investing in the tribe anymore. And when we lose that, we lose a sense of togetherness. We lose a sense of what I can touch here and now. So many people want to go halfway across the world to entertain it, while in their own area, people are needing the exact same thing. And for me, it really is. It's about that. Well, Matt, it's really about that. It's really about that entering into a sacred space, and supporting your community artists is entering into a sacred space together. It really is. And music is a sacred thing. So when we can be together more in the area that we can touch, then I feel like we can cultivate so much more. And that means when artists come in from outside of our realm, we can just appreciate it that much more.
I like that outlook, because like one of the things that I've on my musical journey up until this point is just how amazing our local musician scene is.
Absolutely.
Like sometimes I forget how blessed we are in the Portland
Right.
area for amazing musicians such as yourself, and I can name off a dozen more that are just like, if you go to their show, you will have a good time.
You will.
100% guaranteed. And so like when you're getting on stage and like you're getting up to a venue, one of the things I love to ask musicians too is like, what is something that a venue can do to help a musician even before you get through the door?
Wow. Have the stage set, have the expectations set before the artist gets there. Lay out the expectations and lay out how you want the night to go, how you want your venue to feel, how you want your audience to feel. Think about yourself, how you want to feel, and then from that, think of how others want to feel. And I think a lot of clubs and a lot of venues struggle sometimes because to them they have to be honest, they have to think about the dollar sign, and that's unfortunately that's a whole other topic of me thinking that music should never have been a commodity. And I think if we can look at music as not a commodity, but you look at music again as this social thing to do together as a village, as a tribe, when we can look at it that way, I think these venues will have a much better, not so much turnout in the fact that they're going to have thousands of people, but they're going to have more authentic interactions. And I think the venues can thrive a lot more if they do set that expectation. Like, you're coming to a concert. You're coming to experience music, and you're coming to do it in a communal way. And that is a blessing. You know, it's not you're coming here just to be entertained. You're coming here to be blessed and to bless yourself and to bless others. And if we could do that, then I really see more and more of these venues starting to fill up again. Because there was a time, if you think about Woodstock, you know, Woodstock wasn't, the idea wasn't how much money we can make. The idea was how much love can we spread? How much peace can we spread? How much hope can we spread? How much art can we spread? Yeah, people have to get paid. People have to make a living. I understand that. But that can't be the precipice.
Right. Oh, that's a very good point. Because one of the things that I've also learned along the way is that if a venue could just take a moment and flip the script,
yeah,
and think about like your customer base,
yeah,
and think about like you're saying, like if because a venue knows their customers the best, and so if you know your customers are vibing this way or they want this sort of experience, or you know that they're going to be talkative and like this kind of like. Let your musicians know that up front,
yeah,
so that they can prepare and get the best show possible for you as the venue, but also for the musician.
Right.
And I think if we could approach it as a win-win conversation, I think we could actually get there. But
I agree.
I'm not seeing too many venues doing that these days.
Yeah, you know, it's like I said, it's all a commodity anymore.
Yeah.
And it is, and it's sad because music wasn't ever meant to, you know, you weren't supposed to have hands around your neck and choking you to just put butts in a seat. I mean, what does that even mean anymore? Like, I understand you need people there, but at the same time, like, think of the quality. It's about the quality, not quantity.
Yeah.
And what's the quality of everything going on? I don't know. I don't think there's any easy answer to it, and I think everyone's searching for it. And I applaud the venues that I play at. I appreciate them. I really do. I appreciate them a lot. But yeah, there are a lot of times where it would be nice to set that expectation ahead of time and really let people know what's going to happen. Not just someone's going to show up and play music, but someone's going to show up and this is what it sounds like, or this is what their story is, or this is what the background is, or here's what you can expect while you're here, here's what you cannot expect while you're here. Like, just those small little things.
And I appreciate you talking about the fact that that you wish that it was no longer sort of like a commodity.
Yeah.
Because like I think that's a really good point. Because like we've gone away from like, and I can't say gone away, but it's like the mainstream music has gone away from that, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like it's all a big money grab instead of like a musical, like, because it's kind of like music is meant to be shared at some level,
right? And
music, we would hope, would be accessible to people.
That's the whole thing. Like I mean, like this, like take a big production for instance. Like, is all of that big production necessary? You got to ask the question: is it necessary? Is it cool? Maybe. Is it an experience? Maybe. Does it add to some elements of creativity? Sure. But is it necessary? And there used to be a time where tickets were $5 and $10 and $20, you know, and now to see some of your favorite artists, you're paying $200 to $300, and it's just you're kind of thinking to yourself, like, why something that's so sacred is so bastardized? Why? Why does everyone have to put their greedy little fingers in it? Like, let it be what it's supposed to be. And if that means that we scale down productions in order to make it more accessible to the community, then scale down your production. I've done that a lot, and it's actually it's increased our creativity. You know, a lot of the shows we're playing, a lot of the venues are like, well, we can't really have a drum kit in here. Well, so we're bringing in cajon and percussionist. Yeah, you know, we're flipping the script and we're making it accessible to the venue. We're making it accessible to the people. You know, it would crush my heart, and I know some people would probably call BS on this, but I'm being sincere. It would crush my heart to ever have to charge someone $200 to come see me play. It would, because I know that $200 means a lot to them and would go a long way for a lot of stuff for them as a family or as an individual. And I don't know, man. Like I said, it can't be a commodity. It's got to go back to being a spiritual thing. And I don't mean religious or like Christianity or Muslim or anything like that. I just mean a spiritual thing. Like, and it needs to be spiritual again.
Yeah, it's one of those universal connectors.
Yeah.
Like music doesn't care anything about you as a human being.
Sure.
Other than you're a human being and you want to hear this music.
Exactly.
And it's the only entrance in the music is just to be a human and enjoy music.
Yeah.
And it's just so life affirming.
Yeah.
And like music is a huge thing in my life because like as somebody who cannot really communicate or convey emotions, I have a song for that. So where because of my autism I could not communicate what I was going through or talk about what I was dealing with, but I can pull you a song from this artist and if you listen to it that's exactly what I'm going through and that's exactly how I'm feeling.
Right.
And it has opened the door to communication for me so much that I just like the idea of that being a commodity kind of scares the crap out of me.
Yeah. Yeah, we should.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's true.
And then what about the audience? So like when you're at a venue and you have an audience in front of you, how important is that sort of connection to the audience for a performance?
That's huge. I'll say this, as musicians, we play for ourselves first. And out of that, playing for ourselves, it's kind of like the theory, you have to love yourself before you can love anyone else. And if you love yourself in your music, you will find a way to love others, and you will connect that way. But I think any person coming to listen to music can sniff out a fake or a phony or someone who's just in it for the wrong reasons. They really can.
Yeah.
They really can. And connecting to the audience, at least for me, is a very humanistic thing. It's very naturalistic. It's very spiritual, almost primal, in that I need them, but I don't need them.
I get that.
You know?
Yeah.
I need them in that I don't need your validation. What I need is I have so much inside my head and so much love for myself that I just want to love you. I need that. Yeah, I know.
I'm going to get that.
Yeah, we're going to get him
eventually.
eventually. We're going to... Danielson.
Need those chopsticks, dang it.
Yeah. But yeah, I need them, but I don't need them. And the reason I need them is because I just love my music and myself so much, and not on a conceited level, but on a very just authentic level and on a healthy level. And I want to share that with others so they can feel the same thing I'm feeling.
And then once you have that sort of buy-in from the audience, and you like, what's that feeling like when you know that the audience is sort of vibing with your specific music?
That's spiritual.
Yeah.
That's, to me, that is the ultimate spiritualism. Man, it's so hard to explain. It's a spiritual thing. I don't know if it can be quantified. Now I'm sitting here reeling my brain trying to think of a really good explanation, but the fact is it just can't be quantified. When you're connecting and vibing with people like that on a human level, you're sharing synapse and get out my face, and you're enjoying each other so much that you're just, to me, really experiencing the totality of being a human being. And when you're experiencing that with another human being, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It is. It's a beautiful thing. You just feel at peace. You know, you could even break it down into scientific terms. You know, your blood pressure's low, your heart rate's regulated, your emotions are regulated. You're getting releases of dopamine and serotonin, you know, norepinephrine. Like, you're getting these chemical releases, and like, it's just a beautiful thing going on at once.
And then, are you the kind of artist that love it when audience members come up after the show and just say how much they enjoyed the show?
Yes, and not for my sake, but because it lets me know that they feel the same way I'm feeling. Because I'm feeling great. So if I'm feeling great and you're feeling great, then
Got it.
yes, then the goal was achieved.
Yeah, and the reason I repeat that question is because I want people listening to know that most artists are approachable.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, I've heard from a lot of the shows that I go to where people say that they're nervous to go up and talk to the band after the performance.
Sure.
And I always tell them, like, no, like, go up and say what you enjoyed. Like, go up and
Right.
talk to your musicians about what you loved.
Right.
Because sometimes without the clap, you're kind of flying blind.
Yeah, you are.
And so to get that sort of personal message that says, yeah, you're doing a great job, it just helps to inspire more music to come.
Right. Well, and what it says is that it says, thank you for being vulnerable. I'm being vulnerable. We're being vulnerable together. And that's affirming,
Yeah.
and when you can affirm each other, that creates confidence for each other, and a confident society, a society where human beings love who they are and they love each other. That's a healthy society, and that's what that's creating. It's creating a healthy society whenever we can interact with each other like that and be vulnerable. That's where the big conversations can happen and change can happen.
And it's one of the things that I talk about ad nauseum too, is just how important it is to not only be curious, but to be kind.
Yes.
And it's like so much of our pains would go away if we were just came with the philosophy of being kind to each other.
Being
first.
kind, yeah.
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 And no more so than music.
Right.
No more so than music.
Right.
And so, like, have you sort of toured around outside of Portland recently, or have you just kind of stayed within the Portland area?
I've stayed within Portland the past or 2006,
Yeah.
2026, 2026. Yeah, yeah. I was touring out of the state quite a bit for a while there, and then my father, who was my manager, he got sick and passed away in 2012, and I did a few more shows out of state after that, and then I just had the wind knocked out of my sails.
Yeah.
I really did. And I was lost and depressed and just burnt out, and I took a break from music for a minute. I needed a break. I'd been at it for, at that point, 15, 20 years straight, and I needed a break, and I took my break, and ever since coming back from the break, I've just played in the Portland area because this city has given me so much, and I'm just so thankful and appreciative of the human beings that reside within this whole metro area, and really the state of Oregon collectively, but especially the Portland area. Has a very special place in my heart. So I've stayed locally because I really want to build the local. Like I said, I believe in the village, I believe in the tribe, and I believe in the sound that's here. I want to see that thrive.
And you could go out every night of the week, folks, and spend $15
Yeah,
and see an amazing act every night of the week.
yeah,
It's just, there's so much talent and so many good venues here.
yeah. It's ridiculous.
I just love it. I just
It's
absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell people all the time that I work with throughout the U.S. like how every musician probably feels the same way about their city, but I let them know 'cause Portland has a special little magic to it, a special little touch, and it's kind of a hidden gem, and I want to see that open up, not for people to prey upon or take advantage of, but for people to take part in it. Yeah, Portland is very special, and the artists here, like you said, it's you could throw a rock and hit hundreds of amazing, talented artists within a block. You really could.
Who's been your favorite artist to partner with in the last few years?
Other than the artist I've worked with, and I sincerely mean that, Norman Sylvester.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, he taught me a lot. He took me under his wing, let me play in his band, we've done shows together as sharing a bill. He's my son's godfather. Like, he's just such a good human being, and partnering with him has been a really big blessing in my life. It really has been.
He's one of the most sincere, genuine, nice musicians I have ever met.
Right.
I've only met him twice. And even both of those times, in those fleeting moments where I was able to shake his hand and say, you could just tell that guy is just on a different plane.
Yes.
Yeah, that is so awesome.
Yeah. Norman hands down I love him. He's my brother.
So in terms of like musicality and like the going back to like the creating music, was there something about your particular genre that sort of pulled you in along the way, as opposed to like, heavy rock or maybe like punk or any of those other genres? Because you have a very distinct sound. Was that just sort of the sound that came to you, or is that just like music that you love to create?
It was the sound that came to me, because I've done everything from hard rock to classic rock, country, soul, R&B, a little bit of funk, pop, obviously a lot of pop. I've done a lot of pop music. So I've done a lot of different genres, and I remember auditioning with record labels when I was younger and then being like, well, what's your genre? And I just remember thinking in my head, like, F you, like, I'm not going to pick a genre.
Yeah, because you can't really put your music into a particular
I didn't
genre.
want to. I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it at all. And everyone's always been like, well, you got to pick a genre, you got to pick this or that in order to sell. And then I don't want to sell, because I'm not going to sell out like that. Like, I'm not going to just pick a genre and stick to this one thing. Like, I'll rather be poor and be an honest, authentic person than be rich and play something I'm not passionate about. So right now, I'm really into my roots, which is country and gospel and soul music. But I also love rock, and I love hip hop, and I love jazz, and I love classical, and I just love music. That's what it breaks down to. I love music. So whatever I feel like creating, whenever I create song to song, that's what I do.
And I appreciate that so much, because I really do. I'm a firm believer there's no such thing as bad music.
No.
It's just music you like or you don't like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like I like you, I love almost all music.
Right.
And I just think life's better if you broaden your horizons.
I agree.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. Yeah. No, I just, I don't know. I don't want to pick a genre. I'm not going to pick a genre. It's just not going to happen.
But I think that lends itself to the better music.
Yeah, it makes you more free.
If you're not trying to sort of fit within the confines of a label, you're free to sort of be whatever you want to be.
Yeah, and you get to reinvent yourself. And isn't that the truth of life? Our personality is continually reinventing itself.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And it should. If you were the same way at age 40 that you were at age 15, there's a problem. There's a problem. And that's the same way with your music. Like, if you're playing the same music that you were 20 years ago, there's a problem. You're not growing. And you need to grow. You need to expand. And you need to continue to try new sounds and try new stuff. Like, I don't put a hard no to anything. Like, I'm willing to try pretty much. I'm willing to try whatever, just as long as it's ethical.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I get that.
Doesn't hurt people or hurt myself. We're good, and I'll try it. Yeah.
And another one.
He's back. Oh man. Oh, I think I got that one.
I love it. And then in terms of like the song piece of it, because one of the things that I always also stress in this podcast more than anything else is just how much work it takes to get from the first time you pick up a guitar to being stage ready.
Right.
because it's not something that you can, well, I can't take it back. There's a few people that can pick it up overnight and just sort of like do something outworldly. But reality is, you're talking about instruments in particular, there's a lot of work involved.
Yeah.
And so, like, I just want people to appreciate, like, if you have somebody that has taken the time to put out an album and has been that intentional and arranged everything, it's not something that happened in, like, 3 days. This is something that's taken a long time to create.
Yeah.
And so, like, I just want also to sort of manage people's expectations sometimes, because you'll hear something like, why haven't you put out a new album? Why haven't you put out... Like, because it takes time.
It takes time.
And you won't know until you know it's ready. Like, it's one of those things where it could take a week, it could take a month.
Yeah. No, it's true. But that goes back to that idea of music being a commodity.
Yeah.
People don't expect a carpenter to build a house in 2 days.
Yeah.
So why would you expect an artist to build a song? Or, I mean, it's possible. It's possible if you have enough manpower, or if it's possible if you have everything laid out beforehand in your hand or your head, but it takes time. Yeah, it takes time. And if you're going to do it with some real intention, it's going to take some time.
And then in terms of like because the other thing we sort of talk about is that for most musicians, it's about the passion of the music and not about the money.
Right.
Because the reality is in today's market, and we were talking about like the commodity piece, musicians haven't made more today than they have like 10, 15 years ago.
No.
And I worry about that not being sustainable.
Yeah, it's not sustainable. But I think the more you get creative with your music, the more you're going to find yourself sustaining.
Okay.
I learned that it can't just be shows. It can't just be recordings. It also has to be teaching and producing and music directing and maybe writing for others, or just wherever you can find a way to sustain yourself and take care of yourself and take care of, maybe if you have a family or other responsibilities. Be creative, think outside the box. That's what I've done. I've just thought way outside the box on everything, and I've been able to sustain myself in music for a very long time.
I really appreciate that too, because like it's one of those things where I know more musicians that have to have day jobs in order to sustain themselves. Mm-hmm. And so I like this idea that you're talking about as being outside of the box to sort of keep your cup filled, but also sustain yourself.
Right.
Was that something you sort of learned along the way, or was that something you were sort of intentional from the beginning? Like, I want it to be this way so I can sustain myself, or it's like, did I have to be creative in order to sustain myself?
No, in the beginning, I honestly thought you try to get signed to a label in order to sustain yourself and to have your career. And then I quickly learned that that's just BS. And I didn't want that for my life. After auditioning with some labels, I just thought, this is stupid. It's just not for me. And I quickly, I always had it in me to think outside the box, to think, I don't want to just do shows. I don't want to just do recordings. Like, I don't want to just be a pop star. Like, I want to be a musician. I want to be a musician. That's what I want to be. And how can I be a musician with all kinds of different ways of creating music? And that doesn't always mean you're going to play a show in front of hundreds or thousands or even 2 or 3 people. Sometimes that means that you're going to teach 20 guitar lessons in a week. Or maybe you're going to produce an artist and you may not particularly, vibe with their art, but it's a way to sustain yourself, get creative and try and sell your songs, or just it's just a milieu of things you could do to make money in music. You just have to be willing and open to doing it. You do, and you have to humble yourself.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah.
You do have to humble yourself. You can't just think I'm owed this. You're not owed shit. You're not. I don't know where along the lines artists think they were owed anything, but you're not. You know, the audience doesn't owe you anything. If anything, you owe them. And I quickly learned that, and I humbled myself and thought, okay, well, I'm going to just find a way to make music and have my hands in a bunch of different avenues of it, and I'll make my living that way. And it's worked out great. Really has. I mean, it's had its rough moments, I'm not going to lie, but it's overall been really great.
And do you see, like, one of the things that I'm curious about is as you're doing shows in the Portland area in the last 6 months or so, have you noticed, like, an uptick in people finally coming back out of their houses?
I think so. I mean, I don't know if I pay enough attention to it.
That's fair.
But to be honest with you, I just focus on who's there. But I don't think there's, like we kind of talked about earlier, I don't think there's an expectation set. I don't. I think we went through what we went through in the pandemic, and you can apply this across the board for all industries. The expectation hasn't been set again since that's happened. And people don't know what to expect. So they're staying at home. And you know, in an unknowing world, people are not going to, majority of the time, take the chance, the time, the effort, the finance, or the risk, unless they really know what to expect.
Yeah. So we've been at this for almost an hour.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
What would you like to tell people who might be considering joining your shows or watching your shows? What can you tell people that they can expect?
To be loved.
Yeah.
To be heard. To be seen. To enjoy music. You know, to enjoy music. They'll be able to enjoy music. They may not like my style. They may not like my content, but at the end of the night, they won't be able to deny the fact that a musician got up there and played music and gave that to them while giving it to himself.
And I can attest, pouring your soul into every musical note that comes out of your fingers.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah,
yeah, no lie about that. Like I played a show last night, and I'm hoarse. But I wasn't going to cancel the show. Like, I didn't want to. So I just sang in lower harmony the whole night and adjusted it. But I put every inch of me into that show last night, and I do every night. There's never a night that I don't go on stage that I don't give my full 100% effort, no matter how I feel. And that's not me trying to sell myself or anything. That's me being authentic. I authentically give my full self.
And it shows in your performances.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And if you haven't had a chance to check out Joseph, you need to check him out. You've got. I mean, I can't tell you like how much I appreciate your difference and uniqueness in your music.
Thank you.
It's something that I've been like longing for quite some time.
I appreciate that, man.
So, where can people go to find out more information about you?
The best place to go is josephkonty.com, and Konty is spelled Konty. I'm not Italian. I'm Slovenian. So it's josephkonty.com, or on all social media at Joseph Konty. I'm literally one of the very few Joseph Kontys in the U.S., so I'm easy to find.
And I'll end this podcast the way I always end this podcast, folks. Be kind. We all live on the same planet. We breathe the same air, and this world would be a better place if we just treated everybody with dignity and respect. Joseph, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Very kind of you.